Welcome to Ready Layer 1. It's a crypto podcast that focuses on the Near ecosystem. And this is Who SHARDED, our weekly news update show that focuses on the Near protocol and Aurora ecosystems. It is powered by Near Week.
Yeah, a couple big stories this week. So Near is getting ready to be listed on Coinbase. The NearCon countdown has started. Lots of wallet stuff, wallets all over the place.
So many wallets.
Yeah. Big deal in the development side about the JavaScript SDK we're going to talk about on Near. And then there's some great discussions about, L2s. There's some information going on about, Flux Protocol and what they're trying to do. And so we're going to jump into a few different things there.
Yeah, Joe, and you know why I'm a big fan of the Brave browser. And so Aurora is now integrated into the Brave wallet, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So, Joe, let's talk about one of the biggest things that would have been the hugest story in 2017 is Near about to be put on Coinbase.
Yeah, I mean, Coinbase, everyone knows, one of the larger central exchanges. Again, it's one of those things like where everyone always kind of asks, like, why is it Near on there? It's the reasoning hasn't always been 100% clear. But it's exciting they have announced that Near will be coming to Coinbase. So that should be good for the ecosystem. It just adds another opportunity for retail investors to get in. It also helps kind of decentralize some of the exchanges of it because now it's on another exchange. So it's a net positive.
Yeah, I've got so many like remember 2017 when a coin would hit an exchange and it would just like pump so much.
Mm-hmm.
Glad that doesn't happen as much. I mean, it pumped a little bit, but the same as every other coin.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, like when it actually like is listed, right? So like when it's actually listed, I mean, it'll be. I'm curious to see like does that actually add a bit of a pump more to it? But I think it's again it gives more legitimacy to the chain and ecosystem the more exchanges that you're on.
Cool, Joe, and then we can jump on NearCon. You and I were going. Ray Layer 1's going to be there. The countdown is beginning. All right, yeah. So we're looking at basically a month away. It's the 11th, and it starts the 12th of next month. So we're at a month countdown.
Yeah, it's exciting. Tickets, you can still get tickets. You can apply if you are a developer. You can apply to the hackathon, and if you get accepted in, it's free ticket. So that's a nice little thing there too. Yeah. So it's a lot of opportunities. There's gonna be thousands of people there. Great networking opportunity. So and it's in beautiful Portugal.
I know. Yeah, it'll be fun, Joe. We'll do some podcasts from out there, meet with some people. It's gonna be good.
Yep.
Let's discuss. The last few weeks, it's been like wallet. I'm gonna say this hasn't been the bear market, it's been the wallet market. Like this has been
it's been a lot of
wallet talk, right? Like, people the reason Near isn't as busy with certain people is because it doesn't have a certain wallet, and then with another chain, wallets are getting, wallets are big in the news. Which I never thought wallets would take up so much news.
Yeah,
ever in cryptocurrency. But so now with my Near wallet coming out and like all that kind of stuff, is there any like other things you want to add to wallets? Because we've got a link here and it's sort of like a wrap up on wallets by Near Week, right? So the link will be in the description. Check it out, and that sort of like lays out the wallets. But anything you want to add, and then maybe we won't have wallets to talk about in the future.
I doubt that. So I mean, look, wallets keeps coming up because of a couple different things. One, I mean, there's been a ton of security stuff lately, right? So that security stuff's been all over the place, and not just Near, entire crypto ecosystem. It's been a thing. And if you think about what wallets really are doing, is like wallet is your entryway to whatever chain you're on. So if I'm on, whether I'm on Near or anything else, that's how I do everything. It's my wallet. It's me. So, but what I think is happening here with Near, as Near is like, we'll throw quotes like growing up, right? Like it's now evolving, that their ethos has really been around decentralization, which is different than other chains. And other chains kind of talk about decentralization, but when we talk about what true decentralization is, it's not just about your validators, right? It's about the entire ecosystem. So as they have moved to that and say, we're going to open up wallets, we don't want to have the own wallet anymore. We're handing off the official, again, wallet. So all of these things are adding up to this really interesting change in Near of not just this web wallet that people do like, but was somewhat scary to some people because they weren't used to it. If you were in crypto, it was kind of a different mindset. So it did actually scare some people off. Now there's going to be, you're going to see mobile wallets coming, you're going to see browser extensions, you're going to see other multiple web wallet versions. And what Near has done, which I think is something really smart, and again, who knows long term, but right now I feel like it's smart that they are focusing on building out a really nice wallet selector. So what that means is anyone who's developing can integrate that piece of code from the Near Foundation, from Pagoda, and put that in there, and then you can pick any wallet. So it really helps with all of that stuff. It helps standardize still the experience on Near, which is important, but it still gives the ability that I can pick any wallet I want.
Yeah, and man, a lot of this show, you can tell it's like they're making the like smart move, which is tricky in a space that's so speculation based. And you can see people like, oh, like I think people joke like if they would just throw more bots, it would look like they have more people. Like, other chains are doing that. Like, and it makes sense. But like, really, I'm hoping, and the reason I like talking about Near is because I'm hoping that they're building something that lasts for a while, right? Like it isn't just about like bringing in as much quick liquidity, pumping up a couple sort of sketchy projects with some real ones in there, but a lot of and then like the crowd moves on.
And it goes back to, right, like what are you in crypto for? And like, and again, if you really believe in the decentralization nature of it, if you believe in the stuff about, having some of that personal freedom, having that ability for, a different kind of financial ecosystem, then these other systems that are trying to just, run too fast and, trying to lock as much value as quick as possible and throwing money at everything, then that's not what that is. Like that's not going to be really what that ethos is. You're going to build another Web 2, like, right? You're going to build another centralized aspect. That's a whole separate discussion that we can get into another time. But I mean, look, this is obviously a show about Near, so we are excited about Near. But objectively, if you step back, I think you can see that there is some real thought in some of these decisions. And so hopefully they pan out and people appreciate them long term, because it is a long game. It is a marathon. So we'll have to see kind of what happens.
Exactly. And it's just, I don't know, it is what you're in it for. And I also think if you're not in it for decentralization, I mean, I think you're going to almost be forced to be part of decentralization because of what's coming down the pipeline with regulation. Like these moves that are getting made, at least in the US, which, well, I think dictates certain other areas, they're pretty serious. They're like legit moves. They're not like messing around,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you. So excited to see. Hopefully it all works out. And I hope in 2 years from now you jump on a Who Sharded and it all worked out.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. So now big news this week, or it's been news for a while, we've known, but now it's going, is the JavaScript integration. Will you, like, from your point of view, because JavaScript, you've danced with some JavaScript, right?
Yes, I know JavaScript
just a little,
really well. Yes.
Yeah, right. Like just for a few decades, at least a decade. JavaScript, how long?
I mean, I don't even know. I mean, since I don't know, late high school, so I mean, it's been a long time.
Okay, right. So there's people about to listen to this. You're talking to like an OG JavaScript person. So explain why this is important, what it is, like just how do you feel about it?
Yeah. So JavaScript, people are joking.
Cut that whole. Cut.
Okay. So anyways, so JavaScript is one of the most used languages in programming. I know people have their different qualms about it, and whatever you want to think about it, it is the most used language. And all the different surveys, it is always up there. And when you all of a sudden take that language and you make it in a way that you can actually develop for Web3 and write smart contracts and build out dApps and do the whole thing from start to finish just in JavaScript, it opens the door huge, because what happens with developers over time is, while you can pick up other languages, no problem. Like if you're a good developer, like it's just about learning the syntax and some different things with the language. But you may not always be as comfortable in it, and so it could slow down development, and so you choose not to be maybe as creative because you're going through this learning step. But if you're very comfortable in a particular language, again, like JavaScript, that tens of millions of developers use every day, then to say, oh, you can take what you already know and now open this whole world of Web3 to you, well, the opportunity for creativity and innovation becomes, enormous. And now also too, as a chain, if I want to dabble in Web3, but I don't know Rust, I don't want to learn Solidity, then I was kind of restricted to not really building on Web3. Now I can. Now I can easily do that. Now I can write a full smart contract in a language I know well. And that is really powerful because, again, that barrier to joining Web3 essentially goes away now for 20 million people.
Wow. And is this on other chains, or is this like solely a Near thing right now?
Right now, it's just a Near thing. So it's the way, again, that Near has structured everything. So, it's possible on other chains, but I don't know to the extent that other chains are investing in it. I don't know enough of like what's coming down the pipeline, but Near's first to it. They've made it super simple. I mean, you really can be up and running in seconds, working on building stuff, which is just amazing. And I will say, as someone who both is a developer outside of Web3, as well as now I'm starting to build projects on Web3, to use the tools that are available on Near is really an incredible setup. And they've really focused on the simplicity of it, and they've made the hard things easy, right? And the complicated stuff they've made simple, but not in a way where like you feel like, oh, I don't really know what's happening, but sure, I'll just trust Near. No, like you still can see what's happening. You just have an easier step to get there. And it's just, I can't emphasize enough to a developer, if you're interested in this is the place to start, because you don't have to have that big overhead of learning another language and learning a whole new setup just to get started.
That's awesome, Joe. I can't add anything to it because I've never done JavaScript, but that's awesome. Oh man. And here's my take on this is that right now the crypto space is in a unique position that we've never gotten to be in the stock market or anything in the long time TradFi, because we're just too young for that to be back in the day. But right now you've got a lot of chains that people got in early on. So a lot of people have really good bags right now in each chain. Any chain there is Solana, Cosmos. I mean, anything really. I mean, and so you've got a group of people all who have a vested interest to stay, even if it's not the best. That's just, it's a financial reward. And that is like going to ultimately trump, like for most people, the ease of doing.
Right.
But there's going to come a time once regulations kind of ironed out and stuff where you're like proper businesses, then there's a lot of proper business now, but more business starts coming in and corporations and just people start creating projects in the space that don't already have big bags in a previous chain are going to start coming over and using it, right? When people need to start leveraging it to make real businesses, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the other part of it too is that like, yeah, you have all these people who are probably maxis for whatever chain it is because they started there, that's where they made their money, or they just feel comfortable. But like the reality of it is like the crypto in like Web3 ecosystem is tiny comparatively to any other setup, right? So as the rest of the mass market starts to come in, there is huge opportunity for any chain, right? It's not just about Near, it's about any chain. And so the ones that are helping both their developers build easier, but also onboard people easier, and then on top of both of those things, sticking to the ethos of why Web3 is different, and not just building another internet type of setup, but actually doing something really unique, that's going to hopefully attract that mass market.
Agree, man. And I'm excited to be part of it because I like ETH as well, right? But ETH is going to bring a lot of already established Web2 brands over because it's the safer bet. Like I know Web2, you know Web2, we know that industry. When you work at one of those companies, you don't get to make like decisions that aren't you need to make sure every decision you make, if it fails, you can say it was the safest, the best at the time choice.
Right.
Someone who's going to build on Near is somebody who's actually building a startup company or beginning a company that's like, hey, you know what, I've got an idea. I want to do X, Y, and Z. I don't already have shareholders and stuff like that, who want to like dabble in NFT. So they're going to build on Polygon or something, that you want someone who's going to create, and it'll be cool to see over the next decade. I mean, it's a decade long play. That's what I think people get frustrated with. Like, this is a decade long global people building businesses. One will break out, one will become a MySpace, one will become a Facebook, instead of trying to acquire those already.
But just to tag on top of that, though, real quick, is just that, but that's why the JavaScript story is a big deal. Because if I am going to invest in Web3 and I don't want to overextend myself, I can enter Web3 a lot cheaper because a JavaScript developer is going to come cheaper to me versus somebody who knows what has to know Rust or Solidity, who's going to be more expensive, harder to find, right? And it's just my ability to get up and running and out the door with an MVP, if I want to move into that space, is so much faster now and so much cheaper.
And Joe, another news story is a thread written by Alex Shevchenko, who is the CEO of Aurora Labs. And if listeners don't know, we actually interviewed him on a recent Ready Layer 1, and it's a really great interview. We'll post a link below. You should check that out. This is a really good, like, big brain, smart thread on layer 2s. And since Aurora EVM is a layer 2, and Joe, maybe we could just talk a little bit, like, I use layer 2 as just like kind of the next layer of a chain, but is there more like granular description of it? Is it the right term? Is there another term?
Yeah, layer 2 is historically more of a like generic term to emphasize a scaling solution to a layer 1. So Aurora is technically a EVM layer 2 because it's a scaling solution to Ethereum, except it doesn't run on Ethereum, it runs on Near. Where other layer 2s either roll up or they, some kind of setup to Ethereum. Well, Aurora doesn't, but it is a scaling solution to the EVM. So let's talk a little bit about Amber. Amber is a metaverse that is coming to the Near ecosystem. And I think what is unique here and why it's kind of in the news right now is that they are starting to build out some games with it too. And the games, like, it's a battle-based game. And so what they're doing here is they're leveraging kind of like NFTs and the metaverse all together in one. So I have not had time to use it or check it out really necessarily, but it's a use case to watch out for, of just like, does this setup work, right? Like, does having the NFT as the characters that you can play with in the game and in the metaverse, like, does that translate? What does that look like? So again, this is a little bit proof of concept. Like, I don't know how well it's going to catch on necessarily, but it's a really interesting experiment.
Yeah, totally. And this week I tweeted, NFTs are a tool, not a project. And I'm like, really, I can't emphasize this enough, because the last 8 months it's been, we're NFT projects, and man, it has been 90% grifts. Like, there are people just, projects are crickets, mint money's gone, and now they're like, it's a bear market, but really, I don't know, like, whether it was intentional or not doesn't matter, but all those projects are gone because it was like an NFT project. I just don't think it is. I think an NFT is something that an already successful project uses as a tool to do something, right? And so like, I like that in the gaming. Okay, so now, is it an NFT game? No, it's a game that leverages NFT, the tool, to maybe make your character or guns or whatever it is, right? Like, that's like, NFTs, I think, are going to be more like, to me, they're better used that way, because that's what they are. And calling something an NFT project, I think, is very, very sketchy. And yeah, and like, I've been playing around with an app on Near called Cheddar Farms or Cheddarfy, which I've been playing around trying to play that. And there's actually, you can mint an NFT for the site and then stake it with your yield farming, and it actually gives you boosts. So it's interesting to start seeing that people are starting to use NFTs in ways that actually is just like a tool, a simple thing that's to use them for that gives you something in return.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited. I'm hoping the next meta of NFT projects, which I still think there's still a round of these pump and dumps coming from like around, but over time, just successful projects are going to be like, oh, cool. We are a successful project for X, Y, and Z. We're going to now launch an NFT to help reward or use it for marketing or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, I think why I bring up Amber Wallet, it's not the most well known, right now, but again, these type of projects that are trying to push the limits a little bit and trying to see if it works and trying to understand, is this something that people are willing to use? Because, Amber is focusing on like the collectible nature of the NFTs that go into the game. It's not just about speculation and selling, it's about I can combine some NFTs. I think there's like weapons and people and all kinds of different stuff. And it's learning if there's an appetite, right? And so this goes back to another interview that we just released, talking about with Promosphere of just, what is gaming in crypto actually look like and what should it look like?
Yeah.
And these games are important to start to level set. Maybe it takes off, maybe it doesn't, but at least it starts to give you a window of like what is possible.
Absolutely. Oh man, cool. That's interesting. I'll be following up, and I might jump in there and just kind of play it and see. Is it able to be played yet?
I think you can. I think it's available for you to kind of play and test and stuff like that. Yeah, I think
But
so.
it's not. I don't know. With these games, that's like if I'm going to attach my wallet to something, I mean, I'll use a burner, but just kind
Use
of
a burner anyways.
always use a burner. Always use a burner. All right, Joe, you're right. Felix from Near Ocean. He had a cool video go out by Near Protocol. If you want to jump on that, I like that project. He's got a great Discord news aggregator. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I love that thing.
Do a great job at Near Ocean of just kind of putting together news and information, stuff like that,
Yeah.
around the ecosystem and around crypto. And what's really cool is they're donating 25% from their NFT raise to different charitable causes. And so again, it's a nice. I like everything they're doing. That they're trying to really be a project of high integrity and really trying to follow the ethos that they believe in while providing value back to the community. So I think it's a win for everybody.
Exactly, right? Like in what is their NFT? Are they friendly sea creatures?
Yes.
Cool. Nice. Check those out. Put a link in the description. What's going on here? Multiverse Fighters announce a strategic partnership with Roketo, a financial streaming service for instant and permanent payments.
It's on testnet right now, the game. So the game itself, it's MMORPG game. So it's again, it's one of those massive multiplayer world games.
Okay.
But what they're doing is, and again, I don't know where the payments all fit into place, but Roketo is a really interesting company because they allow for streaming payments on Near. And I don't know if there's other companies that do this on other chains. I don't know enough about that space yet. But what it means though, is that let's say I want to subscribe. Let's say I want to subscribe to the game. Okay, I want to pay a monthly subscription to the game. So a lot of these type of games like maybe have like battle passes and things like that. And you pay monthly and you get X number of tokens and power ups and things like that. Well, in Web3, Roketo allows you to kind of actually have a subscription. And so what you do essentially is you lock a certain amount. So let's say the subscription is 5 Near. So you lock, let's say I want to do 3 months. So I would lock 15 Near up. It's locked, I don't give it over yet. Just lock it. And Roketo will then stream it to the right people. And then if I cancel my subscription, it stops where it stops. So it's fully prorated at all times.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's pretty clever. It's doing some really interesting things. So I don't know how it's fitting exactly into the game. I don't think that's really fully been announced. But again, I like to see the innovation of games trying different things and how does it actually work, in this space.
So you're still doing staking wars And then there's also some other validators and other projects around the ecosystem. If you want to give like an update on like the staking wars, what's going on with that? And then also, I think the Flux Protocol, something's going on with there, and they do validators and they're an Oracle and all that. So do you want to?
Yeah, staking wars is it's still going. People can still join in now. They're doing their evaluation on a rotating basis of every, I think, like 25 epochs. So you can still join in. There's opportunity there if people want to learn more. I would check out the Near Discord and jump in there if you're interested. Flux Protocol, so they had kind of put some of their stuff that was going to be on mainnet on hold a little bit. Flux Protocol is an Oracle. So if you don't know what an Oracle is, an Oracle is essentially what allows the blockchain to talk to the rest of the world, right? So if you don't have oracles, the blockchain can't talk to the rest of the world. It's like having a computer with no internet, right? So you need to have oracles. And what Flux has been trying to do is figure out a way to take these oracles and decentralize them. And so they are releasing a new protocol, which they think is another step closer to getting there. It's not perfect, but they think what they're calling it is the endgame protocol should be the next step in decentralization of these oracles. And so I'm really excited to see how that all works and have that go live on mainnet.
Cool, man. And Joe, with oracles, like it's essential that it's decentralized, right? Because say a chain was like decentralized, but the oracle was centralized. Wouldn't that basically defeat the purpose of a decentralized chain if the oracle is centralized?
To some degree, right? So it depends on like what exactly is going on. So like on-chain transactions would still be fully decentralized, but anytime you need to go out and get data, even something as simple as like price, right? Then that could be manipulated by centralized oracle. Sure.
Yeah, man, this is where I really like another episode. We should just get someone like deep dive into like decentralization and what that truly means. Because it is like, it's a buzzword used in crypto all the time. But to truly achieve a decentralized Web3, it's not there yet. And it is so elaborate. Like, yeah, like even like in a centralized, like we're recording on a Web2, like when does it get to that level? When does the information and video and content get to stay in Web3? That's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's something that I know personally. I'm still trying to learn and understand like all the different components of it. It's a big experience because again, it is much more than just validators.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, hey, this has been a great week, and I'm looking forward to the Near on Coinbase. Did they give a date on that, or is it just in their roadmap?
Just in their roadmap, but usually it's pretty soon after.
All right, cool. Let's keep an eye on that, and thank you everybody for checking out our Who Sharded from Ready Layer 1, powered by Nearweek.
Yes. Till next week. Bye.
Ready Layer 1 is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose.
You should not make any decision, financial, investment, trading, or otherwise based on any of the information presented in this podcast without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or financial advisory.